I did the thing where I hit play and then immediately have to pee, but we'll just hold it. Hi, it's me, Scott. How are you today? Starting a little late. I just had a call with my associate, D. Lobster, looking at cool stuff he's working on. So, what are we doing, everybody? We're still working on. Okay, this. Why? 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 Why is this tagged as wallpaper? Cool. Cool car. I'm gonna transformer. Is that Ganesh? Cool car. That's okay. We're not off to the greatest wallpaper start here. There's our buddy Ganesh again. But we're gonna work on volume 1 some more, because that's just what we do. I just wanna like finish it, but kind of played by indecision. So, you know, I'm trying to do the thing where like when you're indecisive about one part, you go work on another part. So I did spend a little time last night, just a touch, just to like try to put together something resembling navigation. And it's super temporary, but it was just a way to say like, okay, let me get all of these things up and just look at them. And I don't know that we want to do this. I don't know if we want to page between these or swipe between these or what we want to do. Why? That's not... I'm grabbing here because I want to make you smaller. Okay, great. So like we got this. We have a problem now because they're all running simultaneously. It's not really what we want to do. We're really jerky. That's a bit surprising that just like having them all idle would be that bad. Gotta say, a little surprised to see that. I think if we went and closed or like disabled everybody else, it would be fine. So that's a bit surprising, but it's not that huge of a deal. But it's kind of nuts. Like who is responsible for this? Well, now I have them all on again and it seems okay. I don't know, man. Like, we're never going to be running them all, so it probably doesn't matter that much, but it's still, like, none of these should be that heavy. And time-wise, we seem like we're okay, so I don't really understand. But now the jerkiness looks like it's gone. So... is it just because this in the scene view and we have them all visible? Is that the problem? Like if we did this and only one was visible, it still would be bad. But then we switch from scene view, so like, okay, there's not like a ton we can do then. Okay, anyway, all I did was just make a little pager to swap through these buddies. We got into a pretty good place on some, and then some we just kind of like gave up on and moved on. Some of them, these two I just added here. We didn't actually do the UI porting, so we do need to do that. Same for this. So I'm going to start with the end because this one's easier to get rid of those buttons. Because really, it really is just a clear and randomize is the only. That's randomize. Actually, that's not true. We can randomize positions We randomize weights. So maybe to start with, we just randomize all. We do something kind of funny that I don't exactly understand. Like, why do we randomize at startup? This is bad. Okay, we definitely don't want this. So you can all go away. That's very placeholdery. We just don't know how we want to do that yet. So I think we have something that randomizes on startup. So let's just do a quick pass on that guy to 1. We don't want those. Let's not fade. We want fall. Let's just not have the footer. And also, let's do this. Whoa. It's like 2048 times 7. Okay. So they all default to the top, which is probably what we want, really. We ditch the bottom. So this is currently how we change the weights. I don't think I like that. So the thing I don't like is then it's a little goofy. I mean, it's just sort of inconsistent. Okay, I need to, like, let's close anything like emails, all that stuff. Spring into VR bundle. Here's an email from somebody. Interesting. Dear team, my name. Okay. That's interesting. Okay. Anyway, get out of here. No accidental displays today. Is everything sensitive closed? Quit. Okay, so yeah, here's the thing. Like, I kind of don't like having these separate buttons to tap things because it would be more intuitive in some ways just to touch these. However, they start going pretty fast. Once they're fully weighted, so I don't know. Also, okay, for now, turn all these off. I don't know why the... Okay, I see. So the columns... Why is that look 1,000% broken? Let's go into the fall scene. For the moment. So we kind of want... Okay, here's the deal. Those are just lines. So is that truly just decorative lines? Yeah, so there's really no reason that those can't run top to bottom, I think. I can't tell if it's... Are those peeking through? Really hard to tell. Oh well, even if they are, we can We can make that not happen. So that's okay. And then, yeah, so we may just need to like, how's it going? Moonlight 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 2. Is that all the, did I get the number of zeros right? 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 2. Good day to you. So like, are these just too fast? If we want to tap them to change the weights, I don't have to say the zeros, so I can just call you Moonlight 0002. I am working on, it's kind of like a little interactive album with 7 tracks, and each track is sort of like a little interactive song that is kind of different for whoever is using it. And so the tracks are kind of done. It's really just now polishing up user interface stuff, figuring out like how we want it to work. And my fear, so this one is based on gravity. And so these are like little weights, sort of, and as they pass these strings, they pluck them. And so you can make the weights heavier or lighter. When they're like this, they don't weigh anything, so they don't move. When I do this, it'll be very light, so it'll fall slowly. And as it falls, it'll pluck the strings. And if I want to make it, you know, you make it a little heavier, it'll move a little snappier. So the thing I'm debating right this minute, yeah, you can ask me. You can definitely ask me questions. I don't know if I'll have the answers, but you are certainly welcome to ask. So right now you have to tap up here to make them heavier. And the reason I did that is because if they're moving, like, you know, it's kind of a moving target. It's a little annoying to try to click it. But I guess I could say if you just tap anywhere in the whole column, it will change the weight. We also don't have the ability to drag. And I did sort of want to add the ability to change direction. But I feel like the answer is we don't want these. We don't want these buttons. So either you have to tip the guy, and maybe you can drag it and let go to change the direction. Possibly, but if you tap anywhere, it changes the weight. So I think I like that better. I think I like tapping the whole thing to change the weight. So let's take this in passes. So first we need to make a new... Okay, I will give you advice. It doesn't mean that it will be good advice. For sure. Might be terrible advice. In fact, probably terrible advice. So we want a... We want to clear and a public void track randomize. And these are just from that interface. So you have to have these, basically. Okay. And I think we want to say that randomize is going to do both. The wrong language. Do I make music? I do make music. Mostly these days I make things that make music, which is what you're seeing here. So it's been a while since I've just straight up written music, but now I make things that make music kind of not automatically, like you have to interact with them. So, oops. Somehow there has to be a way to set the weights. So we have a random weight. Random row. So we have a set row. We don't have a set weight. For some reason. how does this work? I don't like the way I wrote this. What? Okay, so we can cycle weight, and really that's just the step. So we'd want to say, something like row equals 0 and step index equals 0. And then in here we would loop through them and call reset on all of them. I don't love this, but I'm trying to go with sort of what we have instead of rewriting everything. Research. Okay. And then for some reason, why do we do this? Wait on trigger. Okay, we did that on purpose. That's good. But who is randomizing you? Kind of. Yeah, so I don't make tools to make music. Like I don't make, I'm not making FL Studio over here or Logic or whatever. So it's not that I'm making tools that make music. They're just sort of like creative works that generate music when you interact with them. So it's somewhere between like a tool and a game, but I view it as just like, it's a way that I make music. So I make systems that make music. It just means that the songs aren't like set in stone. They can change based on who uses them. So in some ways, yes, but not in the way that like, I don't want to make, I'm not making a tool that so somebody else can download it and just make whatever song they want. They can download it and then kind of experiment with the things I've created. So I don't really know where who is random? Oh, it's you right here. So I don't know if I did that correctly. Feels kind of like I didn't. But let's go see. Tell me, so what do you think you need advice about? Because I will give you perfect advice. It'll be perfect. It'll be absolutely correct. It'll be infallible, unquestionable, unequivocal, irrefutable. So I screwed up, but I don't think I screwed up too terribly. So once again, let's turn off all these things. And let's set the page to negative whatever, 2048 times 7. Now we need to wire up these buttons. I wish I'd called clear reset instead, but it didn't. And now we should be able to just wire these. And I mean, I don't know. I wish Unity doesn't support interfaces in the inspector. Like what I would kind of like is to say like, hey, you got to use this interface, but it's not. That's not the case. So it's not quite as tidy as you'd want. You have to explicitly say, hey, this thing, but it's fine. Okay, so this is going to be wrong. It's going to be wrong. Why? Oh, we still have issues. Okay. That's your problem. You probably have a similar problem. Yup. Oh, thanks. Hardman, that was that I haven't done many wearable projects, but that one's okay. I like that one. All right. Let's look at it. Partially to make sure the website's working, because we launched a new website a couple weeks ago. I mean, the best thing about the video is that it plays a good Buddy Holly song. Yeah, it's a pretty simple thing. Like, I built the heart rate monitor, which was not, I didn't do a very good job, but it's not that hard to build a heart rate monitor. You just shine infrared light into your finger and then watch for it to bounce, and the reflection will change every time your heart beats because you have blood sort of pushed in. But now there's way easier ways to detect your heart rate. So were I building this today instead of whenever it was that long ago? Oh my gosh. I would probably like make it connect to your whatever, your Fitbit or something. It would take more power. One nice thing about this, it did not take very much power. It took almost none. It just, I'm trying to think of exactly how it worked. Because this is just 2 resistors for the LEDs. And then this is a special kind of acrylic with high internal reflection. I used this little bitty chip. Not private. Weird. I need to go fix some of those URLs. It's like a microcontroller that costs $1. It's so tiny. It's not very powerful, but it's pretty amazing that you can do any kind of logic. That tiny, that cheap. It's cool. There used to be this, I mean, this is a long time ago. Let's see. I don't know if people still really care about @tiny since you can get so many other microcontrollers. It was this high-low tech group. So you can use, you treat it like you're doing normal Arduino stuff, but the chip you're programming is this little baby. It's so little. This is just the programmer board, but then you have this tiny little chip. And really, you can get way smaller ones. You can get, you know, obscenely small surface mount ones, but they're a hassle to deal with. So I like these because they're through hole, but they're little bitty. If you need to put a tiny little brain in something, that is a pretty good brain. It's not powerful, but it's small and cheap, really cheap. Okay, I thought we fixed that row height. So that didn't work. Great. Right, because we forgot to do this. You are track clear. You are track randomize. In theory, these things will work. Any life advice for an 18-year-old? Yeah, what realm do you need advice? A long time ago, I had a podcast called Kiss and Tell, and it started as like kind of a funny podcast, but then over time, it became very slightly, it was a long time ago. And we had like an audience of teens, and it sort of accidentally turned into a life advice podcast. Okay. So randomize seems to work. It looks like it does randomize direction. And it does clear. It's funny that it doesn't reset instantaneously, but maybe that's okay. Well, so you're 18. Have you finished high school or whatever the equivalent is in your country? Like, are you done with basic grade school? What country are you in, by the way? You in the US or somewhere abroad? If you don't mind me asking. In Asia? Okay. So you want to make an animation on your own, okay? In Nepal? Cool. What kind of animation do you like? I have a degree, and my undergrad degree is in motion design. So I do lots of Not as much as I used to in some ways, but lots of different kinds of animation. I like this one. This one's pretty satisfying to just watch. So I think we want to ditch these buttons, and we want to make it where you just click the row. So I think I'm prepared to do that and say that those buttons are just gone. (2D) animation. So that's a pretty big topic, right? Because there's so many ways to animate, and part of it depends on just what you enjoy, like what you like to do, and part of it depends on the tools that you have available to you. So like, you think you prefer 2D animation? Can you give me an example of an animation that you like a movie or a TV show or something that has an animation style that you like? Because definitely the ways those things have changed over time. And in a lot of cases now, stuff that looks 2D is especially in games, is animated in a way, in like kind of a 3D way. Like with a, you know, rigged puppeteering with some kind of skeletal system or something like that. Anime. So for one person to do an animation, so anime often, not always, there's still plenty of CG in anime, but like traditionally anime is like cell animation, right? Where it's like, if you want to animate, you do whatever it is, 10 or 12 or even up to 24 or maybe 12 drawings per second. And with some kind of, you know, there's plenty of like Lightbox software or whatever to do that. And you draw every frame of what the animation is going to be. And it's a lot of work, but if you really enjoy drawing, that's certainly something you could do. That would be a lot of work for one person, unless you like really love to draw. Because, you know, that is, for just a few seconds of animation, there's 100 drawings you have to do. And there's efficiencies there, and you don't have to redraw every part. Like, that would be cell animation. You know, traditional cell, draw a thing, draw a thing, draw a thing, draw a thing. And there's lots of tools that can make that a little easier now. But it does take a lot of time, which is fine if you're into it. Do you have any experience with animation? Have you done any animation before? Yeah, what kind of stuff? Have you done like cell animation or using software, or what kinds of animation have you been doing? And what software do you use? Simple 2D, but are you drawing every frame, or are you using software that animates like tweens for you? Oh, in Blender. So, can you show me one of your animations? Do you have any online anywhere? So you're doing frame by frame in Blender? Yeah. Blender does a lot of stuff. I mean, it's been a long time since I was in animation school. I can show you some of my really old animations. I really didn't do very much frame by frame. I don't enjoy drawing enough to want to draw a million drawings. Like, you know, forever ago. These are all really simple, goofy Flash animations. None of them are very good. Before I went to animation school, I was doing animations like this, which are okay, but they're very simple. This is what I was doing when I was teaching myself, just using Flash. Really simple stuff. You know, little simple like 20-second animations is what I had started with. I don't think you should be nervous. I think it's good to start sharing things early and then get better over time. I don't even really have that much just like straight up traditional animation. This was all cell based, but it's so simple. A lot of this was even more just like, you know, this is a very simple cartoony style. A lot of it was just kind of zooming in and out. The compression is horrible. I should re-encode some of these really old things. Like this is now 13 years old. So like, I guess one thing I would say, one thing you can see in an animation like this is there's not that much like frame by frame animation. There's lots of like camera movements and sound effects and things like that that can build, you know, you can kind of fill in time and not have to do as many drawings, you know? Like most of this, there's not that many drawings. It's just like animating and tweening lots of things in animation software. Yeah, I really don't have much of my old animation work. I mean, I have stuff that I did with groups. And even this is a lot of it is just like,
and welcome to the first annual
like After Effects.
Showdown.
So lots of camera movements and tweening.
And in the final tier 1 women's face-off.
This was very silly. I haven't looked at it in a really long time. But there's almost no like frame by frame animation here, right? Like this stuff is like still drawings and then those are arranged in space with camera moves and stuff. I totally can understand that. So you could maybe post them anonymously, but like at a certain point you've got to put stuff into the world. Like you just kind of have to start to put things out there. Yes. You just have to find a place, you know, find a community that you're comfortable doing that in, or a place you're comfortable doing. So anyway, I guess for like purely starter, if you just were like, I want to start from the absolute basics of what are the basic fundamental principles of animation. There's 2 books that always come to mind for me. Again, I haven't been in school for this for like a long time, but the 2 books that I think of as really important are The Illusion of Life, and that is, it's by like old school Disney animators who were kind of the people that figured it out. You know, these are the people that were like, what is it? How do you draw these animations in such a way that you give them, you make them seem like living, breathing characters? So this is a really popular one. I'm sure you can find it cheaper than this. You can probably find a used copy somewhere. That's the hardcover. Is there like not a hardcover that isn't so expensive? Maybe the library has it. Like so this is one of the most important ones. And then this one, this Richard Williams book, who is much later, and it was kind of written about making the movie Who Framed Roger Rabbit. This one was a huge one in school of just, it has so many like things you can practice and principles on how to do things. So if you're interested in books, you know, you may not be the kind of person that learns well from books, but I think those are useful. The most useful advice I can probably give you is like, if you want to make animations, then make animations. Like just do the work and don't worry if they're good. Don't worry if they're bad. Just do the work and you'll get better over time. And there's lots of tools and tricks you'll learn, especially if you use software like Blender. Like you can do tweening where you do a still drawing, but then you keyframe animate it from point to point, so you don't have to draw every frame in the middle. You can draw every frame in the middle. It just takes a ton of time. Similarly, there's like, I'm sure Blender does like 2D puppeting, where you can do puppet animation. Like there's this kind of animation that you can do in Blender that's sort of puppet, where you just draw a still drawing and then you can kind of rig that drawing in such a way that you can animate the pieces, and it has a certain look to it, and it definitely doesn't look as nice as like, well, I won't say it doesn't look as nice. It has a different look and feel to are you actually going to animate this or no? No, you just drew a little person. Do you have more parts? Okay, so here, yeah, like here's rigging and animating. So that would be a thing to potentially look at too. This kind of puppeteered style of animation, because then you have much less drawing to do, and you kind of rig your characters. by just sort of posing pieces, kind of like this. You set up controls and then you can kind of pose them into different poses, is another way that you might be useful. You know, so you can do a little run cycle without having to draw every frame, for example. Can also be useful. So yeah, I would say like maybe it's good to look at some of those fundamentals, like the old Disney stuff, the old Animator Survival Kit stuff. Look at people using your tools that you're using, like if you're using Blender. Look for ways to like streamline your process, maybe by doing puppeteering, maybe by doing like camera moves and stuff, so you don't have to draw every single thing. And then other than that, just do the thing, like do it. Maybe find animators on YouTube that you like and see what tools they use and how they do it. But wait, I don't understand that. Watch some anime? Do you want to just like of it? Wait, give me an anime clip and we'll look at it. Give me a clip on YouTube and we can look at it. I am not, again, like most of the animation I do now is procedural or like certain kinds of 3D animation. I don't really do much character animation and never did, so I don't even have a ton of examples of it. But you can often kind of look and tell how something was done. Like, and especially in anime, so much of anime, especially if you think of Dragon Ball Z, the animation budget was low. So it's lots of like looping stuff or stuff repeated or whatever. But it really depends on the anime. I don't know that much about super contemporary anime. Like maybe that stuff is done more with CG. Okay, so like, for example, this right there, there's no animation, right? This is just a matte painting, like it's a beautiful painting somebody did, and then they did a camera animation. So you could do that in Blender if you just drew a still image, right? Nothing here is animating. You could see there was a little bit of parallax, a tiny bit of parallax, meaning there were multiple layers. So right here, it doesn't look like there's any parallax. But down here, see how this cloud is moving against the background? It was very subtle. Like these clouds are moving separately as the background moves. So that's called parallax. And there's lots of ways to fake that. So that's probably just two drawings and then you're just animating those drawings. I would imagine stuff like this, like blur and things like that, were probably added after the fact, like as kind of a post effect. So that hand animation, at least the fingers opening was cell animation, but it looks like was only a few frames of it. And then once it finishes, you can see the hand kind of stops animating. In addition to that, there's particles animating everywhere. Maybe those were drawn or maybe they were done with a particle system. The little lights shining through, maybe they drew that, but I could also see like maybe that's just some kind of plugin. You know, maybe that was done with software. Not a lot of animation here. It looks like the face looks like it's totally a still image. There's a little bit of animation on the hand, of course, and then the shadow. They could have totally faked that shadow. I don't know. For example, if they drew the hand doing its little animation, they could duplicate that layer, fill it with black, blur it a little bit. This little shadow looks like it does animate, but the eye doesn't move at all. That boat looked like it was all still, and then like there was a background plate. So this boy has some cell animation on the hair and on the shirt, but the boat moving in the background, the boat is a still image that's just kind of cut out. And then there's lots of layers. Again, that parallax where there's just still images that move across each other. So there's tons of still images here, right? There's not that much cell animation. It looks like just the shirt and hair have a loop. It's just like a looping cell animation. And then there's lots of parallax. Those cars, since it's just a few frames, it's a little hard to say. Like, are those cars actually... Okay, so you can kind of see, it doesn't look like the perspective changes on the cars, like on this truck, for example. It looks like you're always looking at it at the same angle. Let's see if we can see the angle change at all. Doesn't look like it. So the cars are probably just a drawing of a car that has a keyframe here and a keyframe here, and then Blender, or whatever the software is animating it. Yeah, it's cool. I mean, it's like, you know, a shot like this, or actually the previous one even, looks to me, I don't know, but it looks to me like a mixture of like a flat background image that was hand drawn but is totally still, a cell animated hand, some kind of particle system that looks like a software particle system, and then maybe this lighting looks to me like some kind of visual effect post-processing thing done in the software. It's a little hard to tell. Like the phone looks like it's a still phone. This almost looks like an actual real picture of an iPhone, but it's a still image on top of some kind of, the water in the background just looks like a drawing of water that's just being moved to the side, like no actual animation on it. So, and this all looks still. This body looks totally still. All of this looks like a still. Trash can is still. And then the only animation is on the, in fact, his whole head is still. Look, even the eye doesn't move, only the jaw. So this is the only actual animation. So the reason I point that out is like the old style was you would animate everything, you know, like on an old Disney movie. This is not fully true. Like you wouldn't animate, you know, the backgrounds would stay the same, but like characters, typically every frame was animated and you took photos every time. And that, especially when you got to cells, like the Hanna-Barbera invention of cells, there were a lot more efficiencies. So you really only draw the parts that are changing. That looks like, that could have been a 3D render. Doesn't look like it because the perspective doesn't change, even though it looks kind of like you're rotating. So again, this looks like a bunch of flat parallax, bunch of still backgrounds, like a cloud effect over it. So it looks to me like they're using lots of stills, like really beautifully done artwork. And then they have the characters animated, but they're kind of animating them as little as possible. Like, does this boy move at all? No, that was just a still picture of that boy, right? Not a single movement, which is kind of surprising. Like, not even the sweat moved on his face. So she is very nicely animated, totally still. So, you know, I think that's a thing to look for is the efficiencies. Where you can find those efficiencies. Like that was actually, did she move or was she just kind of moved in space? She actually moved. So those were actually animated. Those are stills with like nice little animations added. Maybe there's some kind of sprite system, you know, software that's doing it. I wouldn't be surprised if we looked at this and there were like actually the same character multiple times. Maybe not. Or maybe it was the same drawing of a character and then they just painted them different colors. I don't know that, but that would be maybe my guess. Like maybe these are exactly the same drawings and they just colored them different colors. So that was all nice. That all looked very hand done. And especially now that, you know, people do stuff now. It's something in between, right? Like I think I don't know about this particular show, but like, okay, that looked like it was potentially 3D. So the other thing that could be involved in this is also 3D animation, which you can also do in Blender, or like 3D models. So certain of these shots, I haven't seen any that totally look like it, but sometimes it could be a combination of real 3D models and matte backgrounds and cell animated characters. Like, and, you know, I guess another thing to keep in mind is like, I don't know, how many dozens of people probably work on this. And maybe the person doing the drawings is not the person who does the final sort of inking of those drawings. And maybe it's not the person who does the coloring. Like you can do all those things. But I think if you're going to try to do all those things by yourself, you need to find ways to be as efficient as possible. In fact, kind of the most efficient thing you could do is a technique called photo roman. And this will probably seem boring, but I think it's actually a good place to start. So, is that not the right name? Like the original 12 Monkeys. Oops. Was a photo roman. What is the original? La Jetée. So constructed almost entirely from still photos. So, okay, I always call it photoroman. Maybe that's not the right term. Still image film. But you could basically, you can do 2D animation, 3D animation. It happens all the time, actually. Like that's pretty frequent. So a really early, the way you sometimes see these things is like, you would essentially just draw a still image and then maybe do like a camera move over it while you were reading your story or while the characters were talking or whatever. Like you can be pretty minimal on your animation and still tell a good story without a ton of movement. And these are very simple, but animations that I like these are from years ago, but Brad Neely's animations. And don't get distracted by his style. He has a very simple style. But he, like these old animations were almost totally stills. They would just be, it's almost like a slideshow, but it would have speaking and music and everything. And you can still tell a story like this. Like this is a music video. I won't play the music so I don't get a copyright strike. But you can start with just drawings over time. And in fact, part of the animation process, especially if it's like a big commercial animation, you often do this anyway as an animatic. So if you're going to do an animation, you often start with a storyboard. You know, so you'll just draw like this. You'll just basically say these are the things that happen, and this is very common in animation. Is you'll lay out a storyboard just to kind of do quick sketches of what's going to happen over time. And then often you take that storyboard and turn it into an animatic. And an animatic is kind of just a storyboard that has been laid out over time. So, like, here's some example. Actually, was that a good one? Is this a real one? Anyway, whatever. Just picking an animatic is basically just now after you draw those individual stills and make your storyboard, now you might take your storyboard and put them over time. So it's still just still images, but now it's time-based. And see how that one had almost like a little bit of animation because it changed there? So to me, if I was one person, yeah. So if you have a storyboard, I would say the next thing to do is an animatic. And then you can start to do like, and then it's kind of up to you how much you want to fill in of the blanks. Like this is very low animation. It has a lot of parallax. Like see, it's doing that parallax thing that I talked about. But as far as like the number of drawings is very low, but it still can be good. So if you just want to be good at animation and you don't care about the story as much, maybe you really do focus on short little animations, like little 5-second animations that are really lush and good. If you want to write and make stories, it might be better to do something like this, because then you don't have to do thousands of drawings just to tell a 5-minute story. You can tell a 5-minute story with a lot of this kind of animation, where most of the animation's done in Blender or whatever the software is, and then you change. I hope that was helpful. It's been a long time since I thought about a lot of those things. But really the answer, my absolute answer is like, if you want to get good at something, you just have to do it. So if you want to get good at animation, you just have to spend time animating, and that's just... So those are I'm a little confused, actually. It's these. Yeah, of course. Like, I'm definitely a person who likes to do everything by myself for the most part. And so you can do all that stuff. You just have to realize it's going to take more time. And so, in fact, I'll show you one of my favorite animators of all time is Don Hertzfeld. He's very famous. He's won a lot of awards. He has great animations, but they're very simple. So they're almost just kind of stick figures basically, but they're really nicely done, and he does everything by himself. And so he does, you know, he does all the writing, he does all the drawing and animating. He does like, you know, he doesn't compose the music, but he does the music and soundtrack. So, but because he's doing everything, he kind of keeps it's advantageous for him to keep it kind of simple. This is not a good example. I haven't even seen this one. He's got new stuff. I gotta check it out. Like, Rejected is one of my all-time favorite animations. It's really funny. It's really good. It's really well done, but it's very simple. Lots of like 3 or 4 frame sort of loops of the same drawing over and over again. You're welcome. I hope it's helpful. I mean, the best advice I can give you is if you get good at things by doing them. And that's just true. And if you want to do everything yourself, you can. And yes, Ben's spoon is too big. It's true. Don Hertzfeld's amazing. The trilogy, the Everything Will Be Okay, I Am So Proud of You, and It's Such a Beautiful Day. It was like one of my favorite animation trilogies of all time. Like those are 3 of my favorite animations, period. Such a Beautiful Day. Wow, should I get this? Look at all this stuff. But where are the other 2? Say Don Hertzfeld's site, not the best site I've ever seen in my life. It's Such a Beautiful Day. I Am So Proud of You. Everything Will Be Okay. Everything Will Be Okay. I Am So Proud of You. It's Such a Beautiful Day are the 3, and they're amazing. But they're very simple. Yeah, I hadn't kept up with him. I didn't really know he was doing new stuff. Okay, so we got rid of the buttons. Is this bad now because we got rid of the buttons? We don't have any blue anymore. Should the strings be blue? Well, so, I mean, that can be a disadvantage for sure, like not having a professional learning setting, but you do have the advantage of, you know, you have Blender, so you have free software that's pretty powerful. You have YouTube, so you can watch tutorials on how people do stuff all day. And you don't have to do stuff where you like draw it on paper and then spend hours taking pictures. So like, it is hard, but the technology of today can hopefully help you out. And I'm sure, I mean, I bet if you went to Twitch art right now, I'm sure there's people that are animating, right? Like somebody on here is animating, right? Only 2 people? Okay, there's an animation tag. So these people that are animating? How come no one's animating on Twitch? I'm sure we could go to YouTube though. Blender 2D animation. How to create 2D animations, Blender tutorial. Whatever. Is Blender good for 2D animation? Oh, that was a good one. Look at that. Look at that cell animation. Did you see that? Mixed with 3D? Where was it? So there's like a 3D skybox and a 3D object and a 2D dude. And that's kind of that laid out in 3D. That's interesting. So some of that actually is 3D stuff. So there's a cell sequence kind of stuck into a full scene. So I think Blender's fine for animation. Blender does most of the stuff that After Effects does. Doesn't do all the stuff that you know, like Adobe Animate and such would do. I don't think. Maybe it does now. I'm not sure. Like, I don't know if it just has straight up drawing tools. Probably does. Draw mode? That's a grease pencil. Draw 2D characters in Blender. I've never done it in Blender. But yeah, this looks like a cell animation drawing setup in Blender. So I think you just got to do it. And you can't be too self-conscious about it. I think it's a big thing because, like, you have to be terrible before you can be good. You just have to. So it's required. I make it a point to be terrible every single day at everything I do, just to show everyone that you've got to be terrible first. So the problem here is I want it to be, we need some blue. Our palette's bad. And these strings, I don't remember how we did this. Probably this, and then this, something like that. So yeah, and I think one of the biggest traps with that, honestly, is like feeling like you can't do something until you get good at it is the wrong kind of thinking, because you get good at things by doing them. Like if you tell yourself, oh, I can't do this animation until I get better at it, like that's the wrong thinking. You gotta just do it. And that's how you become good. That's what I keep telling myself any days. Anyway, one of these days I'll be good. So these actually get darker when plucked. Why would I do that? Unclear. So we want to be able to click the whole column, which I don't know how to do that. We weirdly have columns that are for inexplicably. I don't know why they're so narrow. Like, what are we doing here? We could change that padding, although I remember it being a hassle to figure out in the first place. How come? That really, must be like 160 something. Okay, that looks more correct. So I think we want to make it where the column itself is going to respond to pointer downs. I need a very quick bathroom break. I'll be right back. I have one more piece of advice. one more important piece of advice just to remember while you're, while you're practicing on this. One, I think it's actually really good that you're learning Blender, because Blender is really like 40 programs in one, because it's like, it has all the 3D modeling texture pipeline, but it also has a VFX pipeline, kind of like After Effects with node-based stuff. It also does like linear editing, like Adobe Premiere or Final Cut. It just, and then probably does 45 other things I don't even know about. So I think it's very smart to be practicing with Blender. So one thing I would say to stay open to is that in the process of this, just because you love anime and you love the like look and style of anime, you might not want to do that. I mean, you might not want to do all that work yourself or do all the pieces yourself, but you might decide that there's some other part that you really do like. Like you like one specific thing. So like, when we looked at that clip that you sent, there's probably somebody who paints those backdrops. And I would imagine that's kind of their job. It's like, they just love to do those backdrops and they know how to break them up for parallax and whatever, but they maybe don't animate them. So just be open to, like, as you're learning all these things, try to figure out if there's one piece of it that you like, or you might like all of it, or you might not like any of it, but you might like the outcome enough that it's worth it. So just as you learn, as you learn and practice, be open to kind of specializing if that seems like the thing to do, because you might just find, you don't like some part of it. So we have the idea of a string. We don't have the idea of a column. I will add one other thing, is like making money from that. Like if you want to make money, it would you probably could really like put in the work, grueling work, grind really hard, maybe like enter your animations in some festivals, contests, things like that. But just going from zero to making money for original animation is potentially a big challenge. And so you might have to take some jobs that are, commercial kind of jobs, like do animations for a commercial or do animations for a video game or do something like that, just to pay the bills. It depends, there's value in being a generalist for sure. Like, I feel like I get a lot of the jobs I get because I am kind of a generalist in a whole lot of things, but I also know specialists in very specific things, and often those specialists get a whole lot of money. Depends on what the specialty is, of course, but like I've worked on jobs, actually. I've like worked on commercial jobs where it's like, okay, we have to hire a matte painter because we need someone who paints backgrounds and we need someone who does that expertly and fast, and they're just an expert in that thing. So I would say in the world of 3D animation, I feel like I used to know a lot more specialists than I do now. Now it's kind of like everybody's a journalist. Maybe that's because the tools got a little easier. But it used to be like, oh, that person models, they don't rig, they don't animate. Like, and I'm sure bigger studios, that's maybe another thing actually too, is like larger organizations allow for specialization and small organizations do not. So if you're going to work by yourself, or you want to work on very small teams, then yeah, being a generalist is probably a good idea. But, for big animation studios, like they probably really do have background artists that do that paint the backgrounds. So it kind of just depends on what you want. But as a person starting out, actually, it's probably wise in this era, I would say, maybe wise to be a little more general. Ben, you got to switch to this Vim mode so you can be frustrated with me. It's like 95% good. It's like almost good. It's not quite good. Oops. You're not a trad. You are a, what? Eye pointer. So this would be a pointer. I guess just a pointer down handler. That's true. Why don't you just get a keyboard with just one key? And then maybe like some modifier buttons that just modify what that one key does. I mean, you know, now that I say that, you've got eight fingertips. So if you just learned how to, for every character, do the binary representation of those, and you could hit some sort of like clock, whatever, with your thumb. That's all your keyboard is doing. You know, your keyboard is sending. Keyboard really sends what, 11 bytes, 11. Not 11 bytes, 11 bits. Sends 11 bits, but only 8 of those are data. So you could get down to where you only needed 8 keys to type anything you wanted. An animation school? I don't know anything about animation schools in Asia at all. I'm sure there are many. I just don't know any. Like if you, in fact, I don't even know that much about animation schools in the U.S. anymore. Lots of art. You know, there's lots of schools that have animation programs, but they kind of specialize in different ways. So like in the U.S., actually the French school. There's a real famous. So in terms of traditional animation school, gosh, what was it called? Goblin. I'm probably saying it wrong. This used to be sort of like one of the premier international schools for pretty traditional animation. I don't know if that's still true. Yeah, so it's a school of visual communication and arts, but I always associate it with animation. Yeah, it's best known for the Cinema Department of Animation, 1975. I mean, it's worth looking at this, like looking at it and seeing what goes on there. CalArts used to be a big deal. CalArts kind of resulted in a very specific style of animation that not everybody loves. But they're kind of known. They were sort of founded for that, right? Isn't that true? Am I thinking of the wrong place? That CalArts was kind of like almost like a Disney incubator. I might be thinking of the wrong school. And then like, for motion designy things, actually SCAD used to be really famous for that in Savannah. But I think of that as much more like commercial animation, more like motion graphics. They do have traditional animation though. Which school? An animation school in Nepal. I don't know. I would say when you look at a school, you should look at... Okay, here's maybe what I would do, actually. Is, do you know any Nepalese animators? Are there any like famous Nepalese animators, even if they're just regionally famous? Or do you have like local Nepalese animation? Because if you can find people whose work you like, then you can find out which school they went to. There's nobody? Nobody? You don't know anybody from Nepal who animates? Nepalese animator. A Nepali animator's guide of must-have applications. So now he's a full-time VFX artist and animator. 23-year-old founded his production company. So Blender. Have you ever heard of this person? Not at all. So I might recommend trying to find people like that, because also okay, that's a question. Do you really feel like you want to go to school, or do you feel like does school feel like the next good step for you? So this person looks like they just kind of went by YouTube tutorials. Okay, so then he enrolled in Islington College, Kathmandu, and got a Bachelor of Science in Multimedia Technology. So that's where this person went. I don't know if that means it's good, but they have a program that this person went. I mean, I think maybe if I were you, I would reach out to this person. If you can find him. This person's only 23, not much older than you. He's got a YouTube channel. So this is... That's not an animation. It was a short film. I'm confused. I thought it said... Oh, I guess because he mainly focuses on VFX. Very intrigued about how animation could be used for storytelling. I didn't have the means, like my friend, to learn it at an international university. Obviously, I had to improvise. Spent a lot of time learning from the internet. Blender, Maya, C4D. It's a weird combo of just... Yeah, After Effects. I mean, you don't really need After Effects if you got Blender. I'm sure you can do fluid simulation in Blender. Like, you kind of just need Blender if you really know. I mean, this guy? Anyway, okay, so we found Islington College. That's all I know, is that that's where this guy went. And this guy got a degree in animation. That's almost all I could tell you. So one thing I would maybe say, though, is so what program this guy was in? Multimedia Technologies. So I think that can be good. So say, for example, I just found out about this school and I was like, okay, is this school good? I don't know. There's some kind of... So there's a Bachelor of Science in Multimedia Technologies. That sounds like a place you might learn Blender. So if we went and looked there, design and image making, character design, 3D modeling, modeling and animation. So this looks a bit tech focused, and it looks like it's focused on VFX and 3D. So this doesn't just at a glance look to me like it's super focused on traditional animation. So it might not be right for you. But it maybe would be worth looking at. You're a physics student? Well, look, you can... well, they don't do that here, sorry. Oh, I guess they have IT and business degrees for those two. Well, wait, where are you... Does the school you go to for science offer anything in the arts? When are you done with high school? So we really need to know the weight, right, of that's in the column. Is wait not what it's called? Volume1.Paul.wait. Yeah, you're supposed to be Paul. Okay. I don't know if I did that correctly. Feels a little clunky. 3 months left to complete high school, and you don't have plans after that? You have no school plans after high school? What are you gonna do? Are you gonna get a job? So I don't think these... I think we just duplicate this 7 times because I don't think it matters. Okay. I don't know if I did that correctly. Oh. I probably broke everything. Wait. Well, then why? Okay, this is a little clunky, but let's just go with it for now and get it to work, and then we can tidy if we decide we should tidy. Who says you're wasting your time with science? Do you have anybody at your school that's like a career counselor or anything? Because maybe they could recommend a school to go to. Like sometimes schools have a person that you can go to and talk to that can help you pick a school. Okay, so this works now. We can click the columns. Nobody? Really? There's no career counselor at your school? I Dream Animation School in Kathmandu. Well, there's an animation academy. Doesn't look like a real school. So I think if I were you, I would just start Googling and look for places, and then... But I think it's really important that you try to talk to people that have gone to them to know if they thought it was good or not, you know? Or at least, like, see student work. Yeah, I mean, so I think you start kind of broad and just look at the schools and then see if you can find, you know, find people that do things like you. Like, I think it actually would be really helpful for you to find some other animators in Nepal just to see what they, you know, did they go to school? Where did they go to school? What do they do for work? Like, things like that, I think it'd be helpful. Arizona State University, not in Nepal. I misspelled Kathmandu. There's multimedia 3D animation in Maya at IT training. Seems pretty IT focused. Craze of animation. Animax Animation Academy. mean, I know if you're introverted and you're shy, it's hard to want to reach out to people. But having a network of people can make such a huge difference. Like, if you could just email this guy. He seems more VFX focused, but maybe he could at least give you some advice. Well, really, he says he's just spent a ton of time going through YouTube tutorials. But it's not easy. It's definitely not easy to start. And even if he can't tell you, maybe he could recommend somebody else, you know? Like, if you sent him a message on YouTube or something, maybe that's just an idea. Would be potentially a place that might be worth starting. Because otherwise, it's hard to say. Like, you could look at those schools. Here's a genius Nepali animator. Busy with some projects of his own at present, he wishes to create a team of Nepali animators to, in future, and make the first Nepali animated movie here in Nepal. I mean, another thing to consider is just in the long run, well, it's hard to say. You know, I was about to say, like, maybe Nepal is not the best place for someone who wants a career in animation, but more and more you can do that stuff online, so probably find jobs where you could work remotely. Here's 2 Wikipedia pages. So he went to this school. It's like he's done lots of VFX work, which is not really what you're after. I think you just gotta Google. You gotta Google it up, start to talk to people, look at different places, but also practice on your own. And you know, even that first program that we looked at, that even if it wasn't super specific to your kind of style of cell animation, I think a lot of those principles of animation, even on 3D animation, would still apply and still potentially be helpful to you, especially as a career. But I just, like, I don't know that I could name that many animation schools in the world, much less in Asia, that are dedicated animation schools. Okay, so this is not terrible. You click the whole row. There's no real feedback on the click, which is not great. I think I did something bad because it seems like these all have the same voice. Yes. I blew it. I should not have done the thing that I did. Yeah, I mean, I think it's worth just saying like, hey, I'm finishing up high school soon. I'm really interested in a career in animation. I just wondered if you had any suggestions for how to get started, of what school to go to, something like that. I think you can keep it really short. Most people are happy to help with stuff like that. Like, and if he's not, then whatever. Then you find somebody else. You know, I think it's helpful to start by connecting to people. Okay. Did we unbreak it? Broke it. That's weird. What? One, two, three, four, 5, 6, 7, 8. Maybe. Oh my gosh, he's replying already. That was so fast. And he wants to give you $1 million and hire you. Incredible. So the only thing I don't like about this is we're not really taking the full vertical advantage. And maybe all we have to do to fix that, this is probably not true, would be this. I think I'm wrong. That was 160, 160, 160. Okay, then the spacing needs to change, right? So we added 32. So now that's this. So that's either plus 16 or plus 32. Oops. Neither of those seems correct. Pretty confused here. $216? Why would that make sense? I don't think it does. I don't think it's quite right. That'll just be 206 plus 8. Well, that doesn't make a ton of sense. We should probably equally distribute them, but... Okay, so then now we have one more problem, which I think is in here. So what did we add? We added 8? I don't know. Can't quite tell if it's right or not. I think it's right. Might be 1 pixel off. it's more than 1 pixel off. I should actually figure out the proper calculation for this. Probably. Well, that was too much. Maybe it was just 218. I don't know. We can polish it. But this is the general idea of this one. And clear and randomize seems adequate. Clear also stops, and that's just a thing that is not always true on our other friends. So, okay. So that's okay. Ooh, I get rid of that goofy drop shadow, right? I don't think we want that. Very flat and simple. We gotta make those buttons. I don't know. I still don't know how we want to page suit these necessarily, but okay. So that kind of works. I feel like I'm allergic to this project. It just kind of makes me tired. Plus 2048. Okay, and then this one. This one's real goofy because it has like 2 kinds of randomization and then a synchronize. And a color that is not the right color. So let's just take a step at a time, do the stuff, do the, ring first. Oh my gosh, why? Why does this project make me so tired? Where are you? Okay. All the satellites. So clear should just what? What? Oh, this fully toggles everybody. This like inverts. This makes no sense. I guess it's saying like if they're all on, turn them off. If they're all off, turn them on. That's a very silly way to do that. Just read about the science of animation. This seems dumb. So let's do So we have like several randoms here. We have random state, random velocity, random angle. I guess we'll just call all three. I don't really know what to do. And then I think we want to, I guess we could say clear is going to synchronize. What is the shortcut I want? Nope. Yeah, okay, there's a short. Yep. Great. I think we want to just launch. I don't know. I probably had a reason for doing that, but who knows? So I think we want to say this will synchronize them all, and then turn them all off. Which is kind of weird for clearing, but I feel like maybe we want to just set the velocity to 0 for everybody. Possibly. So, new buttons. Well, the clear button. What? Great. Are you sure you're broken? Ring manager. Did I misspell it the way I like to do? No, I just didn't. I thought I did that. Wait, that was weird. Oh. I edited the wrong one. Good grief. Classic. We need all this. Why do I do this? Why do I do this? Yeah, the ring mangler, the ring mangler, the range mangler. Okay, and then all those guys are in the wrong namespace. Who else? Where am I? What? You're not even in a namespace. Why? Why not? Okay. You're not either. Who wrote this thing? I pasted too much. Now are we happy? Clear. No, we didn't do that. Okay, so now both you people need that. You need a track clear. You need a track randomize. Clear. Clear. Randomize. Why are we randomizing whether it's enabled or not? Because we just said right here, random state. So that's why. Let's just turn them all on. That seems a little more interesting. The drag is just abysmal. He's not. What? Something must have changed with my drag calculation. Like, is this just wrong? That's not. It must be. Oh, I see. It's on the center of the screen. So I just have a bad. I'm just bad at math. Right? It probably worked previously, but now that it's embedded in this bigger canvas, it's busted. Okay, so let's say no to the UI. So now we have a bunch of things, and they all, in theory, work. I kind of have an idea. It's a silly idea, but it'd be a way to bridge an interface to a. That'd be really silly. It would be a class. It was like an interface adapter. It would be a class that implemented an interface, but then took something that was also of that interface, and then all it would do would be to call its own interface methods on the other thing, and then Unity wouldn't care. Because then, so this is probably a terrible idea. Maybe it's a great idea. It would be a good idea if they all had exactly the same methods, but they don't. So I think my brilliant idea is not brilliant. It's almost brilliant. In a slightly different scenario, that would actually be a pretty funny way to make Unity support interfaces in the inspector for like button events and stuff. You just have this generic interface adapter. It would be an interface that implemented itself. Interfaceception. Almost, not exactly that. Okay, so turn all these on. So this is like almost a program. I'm not saying it's good, but oh yeah, look at those. Oh, look at those when we instantiate those while we're running everything. That is a beautiful frame rate. Wow. 16 frames per second on my desktop. This is going to run great on a phone. It's my own fault. I shouldn't be instantiating those. I know it. You know it. We all know it. We can just make a pool. I like our little bursts, though. The size needs to change on them, but I kind of like them. Okay, that one works. I love that the frame rate is so bad on this one, it just stops every time. It doesn't exactly make sense to me. Everything should be time-based. Could be that some of the operations are so slow that whenever the metronome ticks, there's like an actual delay. Okay. The play pause on this one I'm not into. The timing. Oh boy. Like a 9-year-old practicing piano. Or me practicing piano. Okay. Very proud of our new randomize here, though. That was annoying. It wasn't super annoying, it's just I haven't written anything like that for a while. That was just like good old-fashioned programming. Oh, these sound so bad. Okay, we never implemented randomize here. And I still don't know how to. We've only been streaming for an hour and 47 minutes, and I feel like I've been streaming for 35 hours. I did have a call before this, so maybe that's why. This one really doesn't have a ton of variety. I mean, you can get some of these going real fast when your swipe isn't broken. Okay, so this guy's just straight up broken in terms of like randomizing clear, because it doesn't. It does not continue. It could, but it's not designed to. And I don't know if it's that important. I don't know how important I feel it is that all these UIs match. This one has the dumb problem that, like, you know, we don't know how we just establish the brush, what brush we're using. And this one has the problem that it's like, it's the only one that has a play and a pause. I guess they all could have a play and a pause. That doesn't make a ton of sense for these. Like, what are you playing and pausing if there's nothing there? Sounds like that just gets a little complicated, like enforcing that everywhere. Okay, I need to like take a short break and jump up and down or something, and I'll be right back. Ooh, I'm back. I realized I was saying, I mean, it's no surprise, but I kept saying Nepalese instead of Nepali. Nepali is from Nepal. Nepalese is from Naples, Italy, right? So I think I kept saying the wrong word. Oops. Is that true? I think that's true. Nepalese? No, okay. Actually, maybe okay. So Nepalese is. So are they both? But when I search for Nepalese, it does say relating to Nepal or its people. But it's a Nepali person. Nepalese too. Okay, they're both good. Okay, so they're both valid. Then what am I thinking of? I think I'm just thinking like Napoli, like Napoli, is the Italian name for Naples. Is that right? Yeah. I'm just mixing up. Okay, great. Oh, sure, because if you're from Naples, it's Neapolitan. Great, we got it. Okay, see, Nepali singular, Nepali person. Great. I'm doing a bad job. So I wasn't as off as I thought I was. Right? I was only slightly off. That was. I went to the bathroom and was thinking of the lyrics to "That's Amore" and realizing, like, wait a second, that's Naples, not Nepal. Okay. Why am I so tired? What do we want to work on? We got a ton of things that are broken. I mean, you can kind of use everything. It's all just a little bit broken. So if we wanted to say, like, if we wanted to get to a beta, the thing that we need to be able to do is switch through these without performance being terrible. So I think that that's the thing we will focus on, is before we dive into, like, yeah, gosh. Okay, yeah, before we dive into the individual UI and individual cleanup of everybody, and in some cases, like, the individual basic functionality of everybody, let's just figure out how we want this thing to work. So this pager thing is not bad, but it's also not great. I mean, it's kind of nice to have these all ready to go.
Don't cry.
So one thing we could do is just have these all toggle all of those. Although, then it makes me sad that we only have 7 and not 8. Unless the last one was like about. Maybe that's the thing to do. So you wouldn't have a home button. You'd have a about button. Is this all ridiculous? Probably. Probably so. Like, I don't even really know. What do we do here? We kind of changed how all these work. So here we have spacer is like 0.4, 0.2, 0.4. Point 2.4. Content, create 2048. UI here. Okay, so let's take these values. Okay. A little better, maybe? And then inside here, header is just stretched across the top. And buttons is stretched across the bottom. That seems not good. Why are you 704? Who knows? Okay, so one idea. Now I think about it, I think the reason I kind of set this to the side is I had intended to make an 8th one, and I tried a bunch and I didn't like any of them. And here we are. Bums me out to only have 7, sort of. But what are you gonna do? So I think what we do here, this is pretty weird. Like, weird to the point that I'm not even sure that this... How did I do this? Like, I had some weird strategy where all of these were toggles and they all just got toggled on and off. Which is not the weirdest idea I've ever had. No, that's actually right. Okay, this is kind of clever. Maybe. So you wouldn't have a home button anymore. You theoretically have an about button, but we'll just ignore that for the moment. And then each of these, I don't know why these are prefabs. Can anyone tell me? I don't know. Probably some kind of reason. Chapter button. Of all the things I didn't make prefabs in this, I made those prefabs. So, good. So these are all toggles. This is the toggle group, and I just tried to be a clever turnip and just say that each of these corresponds to a game object. So as they get toggled, it just turns on and off that whole page, which I kind of think is what we want, really. We still have to handle the sliding over, but that is not that big of a deal. The one thing that's annoying is coming back. Like, getting to something, you just turn it on before you get there. But like turning it off before you get back and still having your toggle be valid, I guess you untoggle all toggles when you arrive at the homepage. I don't know. So if I just hit play right now, something weird will happen. Or nothing interesting will happen at all, because I forgot to set Did I not do this correctly? Yes, I did it totally wrong. And unfortunately, I think I can't multi-edit these, which is annoying. Maybe I can. Okay, set active. I guess because they all have our game objects. Okay, now let's try. So why doesn't that work? Oh, now they're all... Okay, the thing I tried, you can't multi-edit, and the thing that it did was pretty dumb. It just set them all to, yeah, whatever. Okay. Set active. I have just increasingly in like other projects have moved more and more away from this kind of stuff, like doing anything in the editor. Just because it's annoying, and it makes it hard to look at the code and understand the control, like the flow of your program, because half the logic could be somewhere else. Okay, this appears to work. So that's kind of okay. It's kind of okay. They're all active at the start, which is not ideal. The real simple way to do that would be to just toggle them all off, but... So how do we want to do this? We kind of want to say... We have this pager, and the pager should probably just know how to do this. Instead of this next and previous, we probably want a... set page, and we probably want to know about all the pages, so we probably want all these to actually be pages, and then instead of doing the toggle thing, we'll just call set page, and then those don't need to be a toggle anymore. I kind of liked that. But that really only made sense when we were doing all the UI in here and it swapped out. Since we're swapping out the UI down here, it doesn't make as much sense. Which I don't like as much. Like, what we're about to set up sort of means you always have to go home to go to the next track. Maybe. Unless you just like always go to the right. Then you could have next and previous, I guess, still, but not have to do this thing where so you're still like loading and unloading individually. And if you wanted to go to page 0, you could always go, yeah, maybe we do it this way. Be a little silly. But it means you can kind of always go where you want to go. So let's just try this. Let's make all of these a page. I didn't want to do that. That was the wrong thing to do. Oh, it really confused me. Pager. Page. I just want page, please. Come on, buddy. Okay, so this is just like an informational dude, right? I don't really need anything in there. And then the pager, we'll just know about its pages. And you could still set page, but let's go back to having a... We need a page index. So we need kind of an animation thing, and we want the pager to like... We don't want to do anything while animating. We probably want to say like... Privet. Cravat. Well, that's a goal. So it's kind of funny. We could just loop around forever, really. So you know, one of these things. Mod doesn't handle negative numbers in the way that you think it does in C#. Is that true, or is it in JavaScript? I feel like I always have a problem with negative mod, but I can't remember if that's in C# or JavaScript. Like, I mean, the safest way to do that without caring is if the page index is equal to, there's already one less in the count, then set equal to 0, otherwise one of those, and then you don't have to worry about mod weirdness. I might be wrong about that. I kind of think mod functions differently across platforms. Or not platforms, languages. When modding a negative. So in this case, if page index equals 0, then it should be pages Page index. No. Pages.count -1, otherwise. Something like this. One of these buddies. And then okay, so we've used iTween everywhere. Should we use iTween here? I don't know. So first thing we would do is activate that, whatever it was. This code sure looks real similar. We can condense it if we decide to. Okay, we're gonna turn it on. And then we need to put it somewhere. But it's not the anchored position, it's the left. That does get a little weird. I mean, I guess we could have the page know it's rect transform. Might have, give it some reason to exist. Is there any real benefit to caching this? Like, is there an actual cost to a Git component? Let's do that for now. So I don't know if this is right. What's your problem? Oh, yeah. Is that a vec2? It is. Something like this. feel like I did that backwards. So that's going to load it and put it where it needs to go. And then we need to animate to it. And yeah, we'll see. We'll see. See how broken this is. So we're calling. Okay. So, and then we should disable all these to start with. And really, we could add a set active that wrapped that. Because why not? We have that whole class just sitting there doing nothing. So let's give it fun things to do. Okay. So this should turn off everybody. And it didn't, because I forgot to set all the pages. And home is a page. Great. Nailed it. Should not turn off the home. Don't turn off home. There's a silly way to do that, but I think we'll change that anyway. Turning everything off and then turning that one on. Oh, whatever. Okay, so now if I hit previous, we loaded the page on the wrong side. Great. If I hit next, we load it on the wrong side. Okay, so like that almost sort of worked. I just had these anchors backwards. So we need to do this, and then we want to slide. Now we want to animate to that. We want to animate over there. So the whole pager. No? We've got our anchored position. And we have a whatever. Why am I writing this? I should use iTween or whatever, but I don't remember how to use it. I don't really like it. I'm gonna write my own code routine. Kind of want to get rid of it everywhere. It does give us easing. Should we do it? Man. Really should just give it the page. And then page can do all this stuff. So whatever page it is, we're going to set it active. Offset it by that. A little less redundant. Okay. I really gotta use dumb iTween. What's that called? A comb? That would be an role manager? A drum? What's it called? Role panel. Okay, so we get a from and we get a to. Can I put a lambda function here? I would prefer that. Because this is not the greatest. That's how we did everything else so far, so like, I don't know. So how did we do that? Oh. So everybody has a base position and a hide position, and it's just that. Yeah. Okay, so plus I mean, all these hard-coded 2048s are not a big deal, but so 2048 times direction, but that's just on the x-axis, so that's times this might be backwards. Okay. Then we're gonna do this nonsense. Yeah, I don't love this. I don't really want to use this, but let's try it. Maybe I'll change it. I just don't want to do this. I don't like it. Can it be an action? Maybe it can be an action. Oh. Surge. So to be using Surge instead? Surge. Interesting. So there's some like new tweening thing. So maybe it's just that iTween's out of date. I don't want to do this. I don't like it. I want to do I just want to do it myself. So I'm gonna. I for some inexplicable reason kind of like writing animation functions. It's like it because then, you know, you write the function to do exactly the thing you need to do. You know? No fluff. You don't have to worry about what's going on anywhere. One thing, you know, you don't get easing for free here, but whatever. Oh, whoops. What am I doing? I'm gonna set our new buddy active. We need some sense of what the current page is, though. So, like, so we're gonna turn off the old boy. And then so really this should not take a page. This should take a page index. Probably make life a little easier. Page. Do that instead. You'll see why in just a moment. It's not that big of a deal. Because we want to, you know, after we swap them out. do that. Something like that. And this will equal time.time float and time dot whatever. Half second. And then while kind of a lot of ways to do this. We just add a delta time every time, or we could just do, I don't know, I feel like this is a thing, one of those things I do differently many times when I do it. Like, oh. One of those things. And then at the end of this, you always just want to say that just make sure you end up where you mean to. So this will kind of work. I mean, maybe unless there's bugs, it'll sort of work. But that offset will just grow forever, which maybe is not that big of a deal. But these are pretty big numbers, but they are integers, not floats, so you don't have to worry about floating point issues. But probably go to, like, once we animate it over, like reset to 0, basically. Okay. These are both negative. Interesting. Well, I know why. It's because we're not accounting for the offset. So it'll work one time. That's kind of funny, though. Oh my gosh. You know, we've been working on it. We've been working on it for a week and a half at, like, not even quite half days. So we're not even, like, we're probably not even actually up to a full week of work on this yet. Like a, you know, normal, whatever, 40-hour work week. But it's getting there. Like, at the end of today, we'll have some kind of beta, I think. How's it going, Kyle? So that worked one time, but then we're going to be offset forever. Yeah, okay. So the thing we may want to do is like, once we do this, we want to like shuffle the positions of everything. So that, how do we do that? The anchored position, your width gets screwed up. I think we have to do it twice, which is a little annoying. So I think we have to like, you know, first we want to say that the page's rect transform is going to be equal to this could be 1000% wrong. I mean, it's anchored position. Because we're never animating that, we're just setting it. So like up here, we just set it where we think we want it. But I think we want to zero it out. So if we do this now, it'll be wrong, but it'll actually be right. It'll be wrong and right at the same time. If this works the way it's supposed to. Like it's going to animate and it's going to pop. Yeah. I don't really understand why that one worked though. Maybe we just lucked out because that really was in the zero position. So we do that. And then we also have to now say that the rect transforms anchored position, I think it's just equal to where we started. And maybe this will work. This is definitely one of those things that gets finicky in my brain. Okay. That's handy, right? It's kind of cool. So it's funny that it keeps that. So the thing that's going to be broken are these buttons are not good. I don't understand why that worked at all. Well, I guess I kind of understand. It's just wrong because it breaks the page index. So now what? We kind of want a way to jump to these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Like, we could just give them numbers. That would be kind of a set page. And then something like that. And then we just call them. We just call them. What do you think about that? Might be broken. So now all of these buddies, we're not going to do a toggle group anymore. And you are now all not toggles. You're just buttons. And you all get an on-click. And you all get the pager. And you will all get pager. Public floats that page. Yeah. And so these are all offset by 1. I don't know if I love this, but it's a way to get it going. So it's kind of funny. Like it lets you jump to them, and then maybe we'd want to be able to jump home. But it just always means that that'll be the next page, you know, whatever page. And then when you go back and forth, you'll go back and forth through the proper, you know, through the proper order. But if I jump to fall, fall will be next. But now it's a pretty slow page. I think we want that faster. I'm gonna sell this for $1 1,000 times and make $1,000, which is not really worth it with how much time it took. Funny having that animate the first time. It's the only one that does that, really. So there's no easing, which kind of sucks. So you can do animation curve, ease in out, but I feel like, okay. It just never quite works the way I want it to, you know? But I thought it had a built-in... I'm pretty sure I've tried this before and it doesn't work the way that I want it to. You know, if you like just create a curve and then you sample it, which is just whatever, evaluate the curve at time. I just feel like it doesn't quite, I don't know why. I don't really know why. Let's try it and maybe there's, I just feel like I've done this in the past and it has not done the thing that I've wanted exactly. Because essentially, instead of the, this t value, this interpolant value, then we want to like, you know, whatever, t eased, t easy. So we would like create an animation curve. Ease in out. So at 0, 0, 1, 1 should mean over the course of 1 second, we go from 0 to 1 with a ease in, you know, easing in and out. And then we're going to evaluate that at t. And then we're going to use t eased. Teased. This is a good variable name. Oh, this is the best variable name of. That's a good variable name. Can we like? Just want to take a moment to appreciate. Probably the best variable name. Yeah. Cool. It won't let me zoom anymore, or I would. Just want to like point. Hey, teased. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, 2 hours 49 minutes in, I'm getting entertained by the variable names. So I actually don't like the variable name at all, but I think it's funny. Okay, so like that looks like a thing. I just yeah, it just looks linear, you know? I don't know if it's because it's like the type of it is not. Maybe I'm misunderstanding. Because it also doesn't actually, I mean, it's kind of useless, right? Like ease in and out is not enough information. Okay, what is that? Maybe I should just start getting into always writing my own easing formulas. Because if it is just sinusoidal, it's not that much. I mean, it's got some ease. That's more than we have, I feel like. But if you're, if you're easing out quartic or whatever, cubic even would be better. This fun little baby. Let's just try this. And not do it not do the animation curve thing. I don't know why it doesn't work. It just doesn't. We could look at it, I guess, and see, but it just. We could also just ignore it. TTT. I forgot which we did. Is this cubic? TTT is cubic, so. That's a bit too snappy now, probably. Okay, I'm done with T's is not going to work for me. It's too. Half a second with cubic ease. Yeah. So you just don't know what kind of easing. Maybe it's like sinusoidal ease and you just not enough. Sine ease. So this is... Okay, these buttons are real dumb. But it's like almost a thing, you know? Just all, if you didn't know any better, you might look at this and think this was a program. So how do we want to make these buttons look less dumb? It would be kind of nice to always have a next, previous, and home. I just don't want the UI, like, this is already a mess. This is too much. Like this tempo stuff, I don't know about that. I don't want to pull the tempo stuff back up here. It's just too specialized. Same with this, like which brush and which voice. Also, not great. And this really actually has a bunch of kinds of randomization. Okay. We should probably fade out. We probably should add a mixer for each of those, and as we tween, like fade everything out so we don't just break it. Okay, how do we feel about things? Clear and randomize does the job here. The randomize is goofy. Maybe we want to do some kind of grid-based randomize instead. But it does the job. This guy, this is probably the best one. We gotta fix the colors. This guy is just a mess. Just a mess. Okay, so a few ideas. One idea. You don't need play and pause if tempo can be none, basically. None tempo, -1 tempo. So that's a way to get rid of this, is just to make the tempo determine the play pause. So that's good. Swap tempos. Not critical, but maybe. And then top tempo, bottom tempo is important. That's real important. Maybe it should be up here. Like a little bar at the bottom and a little bar at the top that lets you change the tempos. And then maybe the brush, maybe that stuff should go back up here somewhere. I don't know, man. Those ones do not. Okay, well, like, it kind of looks like a thing, you know? Kind of, just sort of looks like a program. If you've ever seen a program before, they kind of look like this. So that's good. I think I'm done for the day. Should we do a quick build? I'll do it tomorrow. What's today? Thursday? It's only Wednesday. So tomorrow, let's just think on it a little bit more. Think a little bit how we want to do the page. I kind of like the paging thing. I think it's actually not bad. I mean, the buttons are terrible. but just the idea that you can either linearly go through, and that all seems fine and it seems to wrap properly, or you can just jump and it will like page next to it, which is sort of a magical page skip. Instead of like trying to swipe across 7 pages or something, I think is not bad. It's not bad UI wise. And most of these aren't in bad shape, so I don't know. We'll take a look at it tomorrow. I just have some kind of stream fatigue today. Stream fatigue today. So I'm gonna stop. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for stopping by, Kyle and Ben and Moonlight 00000002. Did Life is Yours stop dying? Rude. This is outrageous. Life is Yours not talk to me the whole stream? After we wished him happy birthday on the whole screen a couple weeks ago? Okay, anyway. Yeah, we're getting pretty close. It's this, I've said it before. Like, in some ways, the final 10% of the project takes most of the time. Like, you get so finicky, all these choices you've put off, whatever. So, it's okay. We'll figure it out. I think we made some reasonable progress today. We got a bunch of things tidied up. We have our paging. Our, like, macro interface is not bad. It's just kind of how much burden to put in the thing itself. And now I'm kind of leaning towards saying that everything can it can clear, it can randomize, or you can do next previous home, and that's all. And that's all you get as far as like the macro thing. And then if you need to do something fancy, then the fancy does live in the interface, even though, we went through and spent a lot of time pulling all of the interface elements out. Kind of think that 2 of these still need it. So anyway, we also got to fix, there's actually like some broken stuff too. We got to fix the dragging and all those things, but I still want to try to get to like beta. It's a beta on Friday. So we will work towards that. Have a lovely day and I'll talk to you tomorrow. Goodbye.